Welcome back to the Capoeira Experience podcast. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and letting us light up that motivation to keep pushing your capoeira trainings and for tuning in. Train hard, stay motivated, and bring your shit to the Hoda. Bring it on. Let's roll. What's up, Capoeira Nation? Welcome back. Welcome back to the Capoeira Experience podcast. This is your host, Instructor Kashishi from Capoeira Indianapolis. And today I have an awesome friend. It's super cool how Capoeira have reached every single corner of the world. And this podcast came across from all the way from China. And I have the pleasure to have with me Instructor Alex. How are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. 大家好, I will say in Chinese. 你好,大家好. Hello, everyone. Hello, Kashishi.
Nice. That's awesome, man. That's pretty cool. It's like I said, it's super cool how Capoeira is on literally every corner of the world. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you finally reached Asia or China. I think I'm the first guest from China. Really big pleasure.
Yeah. Pretty much you the first one. Hopefully we'll have more too. And yes. As you know, probably we're on opposite time. So here in Indiana is 9:37 p.m. You have what, 9:37 a.m.?
Yes, I am right.
So
great
cool,
difference.
Man.
12 hours.
So cool.
Yeah.
I love technology because it can help us to connect. Doesn't matter where you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. And
I'm a big fan of your podcast. So I've been listening almost like every episode. I started from Master Shushu, and then later on, there's a lot of good insights and ideas. Even sometimes when I don't agree with the person, with your guest, for example, I still like have my process of thinking, okay, this interesting point of view.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like
great podcast.
Like it's a capoeira Hoda. You know what I mean? We all have our own signature on our jinga. You know, and everybody have their own jinga, and that's the beautiful thing about capoeira. You know, everybody thinks different, everybody's different, and I love that, and I love diversity of thinking. You know. All right, perfect. So how let's start a little story of yourself. Like how do you get into capoeira and all that?
All right. So I'm originally from Russia, but I live in China for 20 years. And since I was 10, so now I'm like 30 something.
Nice.
And I think the first time I saw capoeira and really actually loved it, I thought, wow, it's cool. It was like when I was around 6-7 years old. I watched the movie called Only the Strong. Of course, like most of the capoeiristas watched this movie.
Yes.
Especially from who born in 80s, like me.
Oh man, yeah, and that's our generation.
Yes. And then shortly after that, there was a computer game, PlayStation game called Tekken 3. And of course, Eddie Gordo.
Yes.
But from that age, like when I was 6, 7 something, until I was 19, I didn't meet any real life capoeirista, real life capoeira person. Maybe sometimes I watched it on TV. Sometimes, I don't know, I saw it maybe one performance in my life.
Okay.
And all when
this,
I was
all this happened in Russia or already in China?
Yeah, in Russia. Okay. Russia, when I was in elementary school.
Okay.
Then, well, I dreamed about capoeira to do it one day, but in general, I wasn't a sportive kid. Never done any sport, football, no basketball. Okay, just some regular games. And then I moved to China. I lived in a small city in China just to study the language. I graduated my school there and then went to university. And only after the graduation of university, I moved to a bigger city, Shanghai, where I'm now actually from Shanghai. Nice. And after starting to work in an office, after like working about 1 month, I decided like, oh, it's getting boring. I'm only in the office. Then 6 p.m., 7 p.m. I go home. I just stay at home. I have almost no friends in Shanghai, so it was getting bored. And I was thinking like, I need to start to do something, maybe some sport.
Yeah.
But gyms, like with iron and stuff, for me it's boring.
Yeah.
So the first thing I searched in a search engine like Google, it was Capoeira Shanghai.
Oh,
And
cool.
back then, in 2008, when I was 19, I found one web page, one group, Capoeira Mandinga. This only group in Shanghai back then. Now it's a bit more.
That's awesome.
And I tried to visit the class. And the funny story that the website was really, really like crappy. Okay, it was made on Microsoft Word. I
Oh
think
man, on that
So
time, but
I
2008 was
and I
was
also
like a
was
2008. The quality of
yeah.
websites wasn't that awesome.
Webs exactly. And also I was new in the city, so I couldn't like read the map and schedule correctly.
Okay.
And for me it took three times to get to the capoeira class, because first time I went to the class, I think I messed up the schedule, so I came, there was nobody there. The second time I couldn't find the venue, this place, because it was in another location. And I was thinking like, oh come on, I think it's a test. Maybe they
Yeah.
are testing me.
Like how bad you really want it.
And on the third, exactly. I think maybe it's some kind of test, but I really want to try it.
That's
And
awesome.
on the third time, I finally went. They had the outdoor class. I went to that park and heard the music, drums, and I finally found the group. And it was, as I say, always tell this story. It was a love from the first sight, because like when I saw capoeira, the music, the movements, I like,
Yeah.
okay, I want to do it. And since
Yeah.
then, I started to do capoeira.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so, do you know by then when you were looking for capoeira, that was the name was capoeira?
Yes. I already did my research. I'm the guy who, like, before trying something, I will read full Wikipedia and all related articles, and then go already prepared. So yes, I knew about capoeira. I really wanted to try it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's super cool. And during that time, how do you see the China community, the people in China reacting with
Mhm.
capoeira, the interaction with capoeira? How do you see that?
So back then, and actually only till recently, capoeira in China was brought by foreigners, not even by Brazilians. Like my professor, my first teacher, who is now a professor, he was Italian. He's now back in Italy, in Milano, Professor Guerrero. And so mainly capoeira was for expats and foreigners, okay? Like people from different countries, from Japan, from, I don't know, Europe, from US, from many places like Russia as well.
Yeah,
Uh, they've been interested to capoeira, so they started capoeira, and they found capoeira in China. And only maybe after a few years, only the Chinese people, local people, started to get into the group, because for Chinese people it was something totally strange, totally weird. This
yeah,
culture, Brazilian culture and capoeira thing, it was like, oh, something. I think most of the people now know about capoeira. They started to understand a little bit more about capoeira, that this word exists. In Chinese we call it Pasi Zhangwu, which literally translates from Pasi means Brazil, Pasi Zhangwu means fighting dance, okay, or warrior dance, okay. So
oh
it's like
cool,
a
that's so
literal
cool, super
translation, a bit,
cool.
yeah, Pasi Zhangwu. And most of the people now know this term from the Olympics in Brazil. I think Olympics or the World Championship, I don't remember. But after that, there was a big coverage about capoeira. So after
Okay,
that, I think we got even more students.
that's so cool. That's so cool.
Mhm.
And do you see a lot of diversity in between adults and kids? What do you think is the average age in China for people to start to engage with capoeira?
To start capoeira, So this I totally can say that only until recently, like recent 1-2 years, capoeira was mainly thing for adults, like who's like maybe also it depends on the teacher. So I think it's like up 25 and over, okay, and above, like 30s. So it was mainly this thing for adults. And
Oh,
as I
cool.
say, Brazilian culture, capoeira culture is really different. It's really doesn't look like the Chinese culture. For example, in China, although we have a very how to say the your personal space is very small. The people like to crowd, but still in the culture you don't touch others. There is not so many handshakes, not so many hugs. Okay, these things in China, usually in Chinese culture, is really really only for the closed family circle.
Oh,
But
wow.
in capoeira, we have a contact
Oh
all the
man,
way. We touch the ground. We
yeah,
stuff
you
like
hug
this.
each
So
other
it's
at the end of the
totally
game.
different. Exactly. So it's a bit weird for Chinese in the beginning. So as I remember, the first Chinese people who entered to the capoeira, there was a little bit like let's say how do you say it? Not misfit, but it's not extraordinary Chinese people. I would say like this.
Okay,
Now
okay.
it's more and more wise, and only until recently, finally, a couple years ago, there's a big kids interest, like a big kids group started to start capoeira. Yeah, more and more, and now it's actually more popular within the kids, at least in Shanghai.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And now before we start digging a little bit more into like kids
Mhm,
and teaching all that, w- w-
mhm.
explain to us like what your nickname means, because I know you told me it's Chupateta, right?
Yes. So my nickname is Chupateta. Chupa means suck.
Okay.
Teta means tit.
Okay,
So
okay.
tit sucker. If you like, I don't know if you have a censorship in the podcast,
Yeah, that's
but
okay.
I think it's fine. Chupateta. Yeah. So when people heard, especially if they understand Portuguese or Spanish, they're like, "What? What name is this?"
That's funny. Yeah.
So the story behind this name, I got it after maybe like 2-3 months into capoeira, when I've been practicing capoeira for 2-3 months. Then I remember after one class, everybody went to a party, to a bar. I was still new in the city, and I think it was my first time in a bar in Shanghai.
Oh,
Okay,
cool.
like
Okay.
my first visit of the bar with the group, and then I went there. I don't know why, for what reason, but everything was free. Everything was free in that bar. The drinks, the food. I think it was kind of celebration or opening, but
Oh,
everything
wow,
was free. And
really?
for me, like first time in Shanghai bar,
That's so
and then like
nice.
so many drinks, all the food is for free. Yes, and I was 19 years old, so I was like a bit shy. Uh, and we capoeira group, we like hanging out. Then we went to in that bar upstairs. There was a discotheque. Okay, the dancing,
So cool.
the music dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then among this crowd of dancing people, there was a drag queen. Drag queen, like a man dressed up
Yeah.
as a woman in a like a queen dress, something like
Yeah.
this, with the feathers,
Yeah.
with the really fake boobs,
Yeah.
fake hips. How to say it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the feather, like a princess. But the guy was like 2 meters tall, enormous breast and stuff like this. So and he was like a part of the show group, I guess.
Okay.
He was just walking around, obviously a man. Everybody was like touching him for all areas, making photos with him. So it was a lot of fun. And then my professor, my teacher.
Okay. There you go.
Okay,
Okay.
hello, can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Okay,
We're
I don't know what
okay.
happened, but okay.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
So back
We're
to the
back.
story.
Okay.
All right, we're back. Finally. So back to the story. And my teacher, my one of Brazilian instructor, Marcal, he was like trying to, why Alex, go hug this guy, make a photo with him,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff like this. I will no, I'm I'm too shy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then after a few minutes, I saw that my teacher, he was talking with that drag queen, with that guy,
Yeah.
whispering something to his ear and pointing to me,
Oh man.
like it's like doing it. And that guy just came right onto me, and like everybody was waiting for action, like, why Alex, why do something, touch, or I don't know, like, hey, we
Yeah,
want to see
yeah.
action, because they see I was shying, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought like, okay, everybody already touched his boobs, everybody touched his ass, so I need to do something original. So I put my face inside his breast and just like this.
Ah.
And after that, the Brazilian
Man.
guy teacher, he
Oh
said,
my
"Ah,
god.
Chupateta." And after
Oh
that,
my god,
the
so
nickname
funny.
stuck. Okay,
Oh man.
but in general, I'm a serious man, serious person.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, when we are kids, you just messing around, and if everybody's having fun, everybody is just like normal. It just happens. But
Yeah,
it's really funny though. It's really funny.
yes, it's been like 10 years ago or more.
Nice, nice. Okay, perfect. Thank you for explaining your nickname. And coming back to the subject now, about the kids and all that. How you say you've been teaching, right?
Yes, I'm teaching.
Yeah.
Teaching.
Ha-
I'm trying, like, last year I became like a full-time capoeirista. I teach full-time. So this is
oh,
my
that's so
major
cool.
income, general income. Mhm.
That's so cool. That's really really cool. I think, if correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't know if there's out there instructor listening to the podcast right now, or instructor, professor, or any core
Mhm.
where you already teach. I think everybody wants to have a full academy and dedicate this time, or your knowledge, your knowledge,
Mhm.
your time, full time for this. I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
if
understand. Yeah, it was my dream, and
yeah, yeah,
finally.
oh yeah, oh yeah, is and congratulations to doing that. It's not easy to get to that point.
Exactly, and it's not easy to continue, to find the
Yes, to have the
power
drive.
inside. Yeah, to have a
Yeah,
drive, you still need to looking for
yeah,
extra, I
yeah.
don't know, something, yeah, or some inspiration. But yeah,
Yes,
I'm still
yes.
doing it, and I like it.
Especially on that, I guess, the the ground of where you teach, or the cities where you teach, where
Hmm.
capoeira is out of their culture, I guess, if we can say
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like, is a completely different. Like, for example,
exactly.
I can see that of people trying to understand, like, what is this, what people are like dancing around, jumping around, try to kick each other,
Yeah, yeah.
but then they don't kick each other,
Hmm.
and singing around and playing music and everybody having fun is a weird thing for them. Because here in
Exactly.
Indiana, where I teach, there's no capoeira around here, and it's the exact same
Oh.
thing. Is a brand new idea to the area
Hmm.
here. So it's
Okay, I
like,
see.
I see very interesting your story of how you make your capoeira grow in that
Hmm.
area, and how when you started teaching, how was that?
Hmm. Well, yeah, you're correct. Like, in this kind of when in situation like this, it can be a good thing or can be a bad thing. Good
Yeah,
thing that you probably only you are alone teaching capoeira in the area, so like you don't have a competitors. It
yeah,
might be a
that's
good
a good,
thing.
true.
Yeah, and the bad thing, like, yeah, people don't understand it, don't know that, and as I said, in the beginning we didn't have a lot of special approach to reach local people, local Chinese. Okay, um, just and mostly only extraordinary Chinese people who are like a little bit what we in China we call linglei, which means like out of order or something like this. Like
Yeah,
there's maybe some artists, maybe dancers, maybe some people who are looking for something new, and they're maybe sometimes they not fit the the normal community here.
yeah, yeah.
So
I was
in the
about to say that,
beginning,
out of the ordinary.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
extraordinary, yeah. So at the beginning, these people joined us, and it's also really, really, I think, really depends on the teacher, because different teacher, I believe, he works like a magnet, and
True.
he will bring the people like him, the more or less the same mentality, even like more or less look alike him. Like if you are thin like me, most of the people probably will be also a bit like,
Yeah.
if you're like a muscular man, yeah, okay, most of the people maybe, I think. So work like a magnet. So for example, in the beginning, the teachers in China, maybe they didn't speak a good Chinese. That's why they also couldn't bring a lot of local people, because they couldn't explain. They didn't have the same language. I speak Chinese pretty okay, and so it helped me a lot because I explained. I also worked with my students, my Chinese students, to write a lot of articles explaining what is capoeira, what is roda, doing video tutorials in Chinese, and translating sometimes articles from English or from Portuguese about some capoeira traditions into
That's pretty
Chinese,
cool.
and sharing this stuff, like planting as seeds. We posted like generally in China, I think 90% of text or visual information you will find about capoeira is probably written by our team, like my students or me, or, translated by my students, stuff like this. So yeah, it's a big work, like planting these seeds to make people understand about this. And also later, when I had more experience in teaching, like had many experience of teaching different people for different groups, I found a way how to represent capoeira better for the first timers, for Chinese first timers, for
Okay.
kids. So this is also it really matters. Okay, I think like this, because if you try to put a lot of information about capoeira to some fresh brains, like, okay, we have ginga, we have
Yeah.
this ritual, we have these instruments, we have music, maybe it's too much, okay, and
True.
the person won't have at least some simplified picture. What is this? Are we dancing, or we are fighting, or we are playing? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
So by the time I think like it's better to go one by one. Maybe I won't spend like half hour of my class time to teach music to beginners. I want to them experience capoeira right away in the first class, and then okay, it's fun, and then maybe little by little I introduce rhythm and music,
Oh, I
stuff like
like that
this. I
idea.
don't know if I replied your question, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so,
No, I like the idea. Yeah, in because it's like you said, for what you're saying, capoeira is a very 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 different uh cultural movement, I guess, if we can call it
mhm,
this way,
yeah,
to as a Chinese can see it. We can see it as a of course as a
yeah,
lifestyle, as a culture, as a many stuff, everything about capoeira, right? But
yeah,
but people out of capoeira are going to see a completely different thing. So I
exactly,
I, I
exactly.
really like the idea of just giving a little bit by little bit
Hmm, hmm,
to those people that are just starting, that they have no idea
exactly,
that
yeah,
of what we know, or what we like.
yeah,
I know
true.
I like the idea. And you also mentioned that you were teaching about 100 people, right? And those includes kids and
Yeah.
adults.
Yeah, currently I teach around 100 people. 60 of them are kids. Okay, because I teach. We have our own space. I wouldn't call it
That's
like
awesome.
academy, because it's not a full-time academy. Okay, we still rent like by hour, stuff like this, because we need to. Because I work full-time like this, I need to to have a cost and expense,
Of course.
like a professional. I need to think about this. Imagine for the people who had their academy and then coronavirus came,
Oh
it
man,
will be
yes.
very hard if you had them. But since I ran by hour, it's less damage for me. I don't need to pay for month, or I don't know.
Yeah,
So
for the lease or
as I
rent.
said, we have, yeah. So we have like our own space, and I also teach in schools, in the schools, like international schools. So most of my kids, they're learning capoeira in schools. I have like 40 kids, 40 kids in schools,
Oh, cool.
then 20 kids who are training in my space, and around 20 active adults. Okay.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
more in total is like, yeah. And then also there's people who come and get, so like about 40 adults maybe in total, who
Okay.
has like still active like membership, stuff like this. But there's like a core team is 20 adults who like I see maybe like every week and stuff like this.
That's awesome, though. That's a
So
really cool
all in
hobby right
total,
there.
yeah. Well, now is the summer. There's exam passed, so I don't have so much classes that I had before the new year.
Okay.
But still, a lot of because the word about capoeira is now spreading really crazy. Because
Yeah.
especially the parents, they see the kids. And in China, the parents are crazy about the kids' education. I don't know about US, other country. In Russia, I also think it's a bit more freely. But in China, like the kids should learn, I don't know, like 12 hours a day in schools, in
Oh
homework.
wow, yeah.
Then on Saturday, he need to learn piano, English, Spanish, and all kind of, I don't know, drums,
Yeah, yeah.
And capoeira can actually provide a lot of it's the horizontal, like it can teach you music, rhythm, language,
Martial arts.
movements, martial arts, exactly, dance, acrobatics,
That's so cool.
theater. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
So the parents, Chinese or foreigners, they see it, wow. And they see also the way I teach. We can go back to that, but they also see that the kids engage. It's not like in traditional old school kung fu
Yeah.
or in acrobatic gymnast. Okay, you just need to I gonna stretch you by force. You just do 100 repetitions, and the kids usually when you see the photo, they're like all like really really
Like they don't want to
not
come back.
happy. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But they've been forced by parents. And my kids, the parents send me videos of them practicing at
That's
home.
so cool. That's so cool.
Like they
That's
would
really,
send me a
really
video.
cool. Yeah.
Look, my kid is practicing at home by himself, doing all this cocorinha, I
Yeah.
don't know, baqueta,
Yeah.
ginga, stuff like this.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming then that you have on in your class you have all like games like interactive and so have those kids
Yeah,
moving a lot for it's a lot of kids,
exactly.
man.
I must say that till recently, like till maybe I started teaching kids only actually 1 year ago, so not
Oh
that long.
wow.
And then
That's really cool.
I have this big group. Why? I must tell my secret. I'm gonna share my secret. I
Dun, dun,
I
dun, dun.
I u- Dun, 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 yeah. I used to afraid teaching kids because I had very bad experience in the past, like I don't know 6-7 years ago. My teacher asked me to substitute him for a kids class. There were
Cool.
only like 3 or 4 kids. And
Okay.
the class was total epic fail. They couldn't
Oh.
listen me. It was boring. I was struggling, and there was all
It's
around,
not easy,
only
man.
4 kids.
It's not easy.
Now
It's
I
not easy
teach
teaching
like
kids.
exactly. Now I teach up to 10 kids alone, sometimes even 15 alone.
Wow.
So, and for
That's
me,
a
it's not a
lot of
problem.
kids, man.
So the secret actually, I understood that to make capoeira big in China, I had I have to start teaching kids, and to do it, I need to learn how to teach, and how to teach kids, how to teach adults, of course. So the first thing I found is the Mestre Ferradura. He's Instituto Brasileiro Capoeira Educação.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, yeah, he has this online course on teaching kids, a lot of videos and special program. When you read a lot, you do some exercise. It's really like online platform. And at least back then, when I did it first time, it was like 4 years ago. I think it was for free. I don't know about now, but it really gave me a lot of inspiration, a lot of information about approach how to teach kids.
Huh.
Okay, it gave me a bit confidence, but it was online, so it's still I had a lack of lack of practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then in 2018, uh, I took a capoeira instructor course by Mestre Cueca, who's from Cordal de Ouro, Israel, but
Okay.
back then he lived in Russia for many years. Now he's back, and I took this. I heard a lot about these courses, and then I participated in one. It was like long weekend, like for 4 days, learning about how to teach adults and kids about psychology,
Okay.
about the movements. It's like a lot of information going to your mind, and you see that that information comes from a big story, okay, like a big background. There's a really good base. And that course, after that I took two more courses actually. one
Hey.
with one with Mestre Edan, and another one with Mestre Cueca as well. And this just give me a tools which I now use for kids classes and as well for adults classes. And
That's
I
so
might use
cool.
it for elderly classes. I have a dream now to teach also people above 50, 60, because in China is also a lot of big market.
Yeah, yeah. Is the people on that age there in China more quote unquote movable? Like like they're
Yes,
not
exactly.
like
If you Yes, exactly. In China, I think they're more movable than kids, because when you go in a park or in a complex residential neighborhood,
yeah,
you will find a street workout tools like I don't know, like
yeah,
all this stuff, but this made for elder people, for old people. Something they can roll a wheel,
yeah,
sometimes something like a bicycle, sometimes they run.
yeah,
This
yeah.
all it's not for kids. Usually in Russia, this playgrounds for kids, but in China, it's usually playgrounds for older people.
Wow, that's
And
so cool.
during the night in China, in all Chinese cities and countryside, I guess, uh, like after 6 p.m., 7 p.m., you will see groups of old people dancing, doing
Wow.
qigong, doing wushu, of these kung fu styles,
Okay.
or doing some even a Latin dance, like cha-cha, Cuban
Yeah.
dance, yeah, and stuff
That's
like
so
this.
cool. That's so cool. So
Yeah.
they are
So
very
I
active.
think there is a market. There
Yeah.
is a
Oh yeah.
market for capoeira,
That's
but
awesome
I
though.
need
That's
to
awesome.
find a way how to introduce it, because
Yeah, yeah.
it's a different.
I mean, so something
Mm.
something super easy, but capoeira has so much stuff that you can offer.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Just need to
It's
find a way.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, in capoeira, we have such a big um terrain. We have so much
Exactly.
stuff. And
Exactly.
how? So here's the trick. How do you
Mhm.
keep 15 kids focused on you, or you
Mhm.
have um like a help, someone that helps
Uh-huh.
you that to
I
keep
usually
them organized?
Uh-huh. I usually have assistant when I have more than 10 kids. So like
Oh, okay.
I'm alone, can teach freely 10 kids, totally okay. But when I have more, then I have assistant.
Okay.
I will ask for assistant, yeah. And then we can teach together up to 20, okay, for
That's
example.
awesome. That's really, really
S-
cool.
So how it goes? For different age group, like I usually divide like this: 4 to 6, then 7 to 9 or 10, and then 11 and teenager.
Okay.
These three, you can also divide it differently, but for me, it's basically like these 3 or 4 groups. They have really different approach how you teach them, and basically it
Yes.
goes like this: for the youngest kids, smallest kids, like from 4 to 6, it's about 80% of games, all techniques you want to teach them. It's also inside the game, okay? I don't know, you want to teach them mialo de compasso, you teach them giraffe, for example, how to giraffe walk, okay? Like with the leg up. Then
Oh, I
you
like
teach
it.
like dragon tail, for example, the tail, the dragon twist the tail, so becomes a compasso
Yeah.
later, okay? But for this age, of course, you don't give them like, okay, everybody stay in line. You don't tell them, or like, okay, 2 by 2, you do this, because kids in this age don't understand this.
Yeah.
They cannot do face to face. They can try, but it's still
They
for
get
them it's
bored.
harder to communicate. You're just building it up, yeah. And then next age group, the percentages goes to different ways. It's maybe up to 60% game, 40% of more or less clean technique, okay, where you can
Oh,
show,
cool.
okay,
Okay.
double kick. And then for teenager, and of course you have a lot of game, different approach. When I teach like super young kids, I I'm one person when I teach kids, schoolers, like who goes to school already. It's totally different approach. I'm not that childish. Okay, I won't use like boom, 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 boom. I don't do this. And for teenager, it's already another different story. It's like almost like adult, but they're even more picky. Okay, you need to
Oh yeah.
show them some cool stuff. They need to have more competition between, more challenges like this. For the young kids, they don't understand competition a
Yeah.
lot, okay,
Yeah.
like too
Yeah.
much. So, but for teenager, you must have it. So for different age group, different approach, but and also changing, maybe switching dynamic and static. Okay, for example, now we run a lot, then we freeze and do something more or less statical. Okay, this also helps. And
Okay.
of course, short bars. Okay, you don't do technique review for, I don't know, 5 minutes is already a lot. Okay, for 5 minutes we're gonna kick the same kick. No, with this, maybe 1-2 minutes you do something, then you change to the next one, then you go back, then you change approach. Okay, you use different tools.
Okay.
For example, they practice mialua, or I say double kick. It's in adult language, it's mialua de frente como armada.
Okay.
But we say double kick. We practice like a mirror game. Everybody follow me like a mirror. Okay. Then I use kashishi, for example.
Okay.
Kashishi and say, okay, I'm a
Okay.
snake, you're chameleons, okay? The snake won't bite the chameleon. If chameleon does, double kick. And then they practice. They practice double kick by themselves. So I just use a
Oh,
different
cool.
tool, but they do the same stuff. To finalize, as my teacher, Mr. Cueca, I also consider he's my teacher because I took courses with him. He's my big inspiration. He told me he told to us, to our all group, guys, forget that you are teacher. I'm a teacher, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are creator of repetitions. You just need to think how to make
Oh.
kids repeat, because by playing, by repetitions, but hidden, okay, disguise, not telling like, okay, 100 kicks and your work is done. In a playful manner, how to make them do stuff you want. And then by time, they will already do AU, okay? And it proved within the year, the kids who just starting playing the games, they become much stronger. They become doing better AUs, better stuff, okay? So
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
approach, you need to have a lot of patience as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was teaching kids for before all the virus hit.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had like 5 kids in a small program I
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
in a local community,
Mm-hmm.
in a local community center, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to keep them focused on something, even if you just like, okay, let's do a just like jumping on above the road,
Mm-hmm.
the rope,
Mm-hmm.
and you just it's you just play like doing a little bit handstand like a frog and all that, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's hard to keep them focused, to keep them
Yeah,
active, because they also get distracted with
understand.
their
Yeah.
parents.
Parents, yeah. Well, it depends. Yeah, if I think by the experience, they're gonna be focused on you, and if you like on the teacher, and the teacher, if the teacher use a good feedback system, and also learn how to ignore, because if you spend a lot of your energy and your attention to the kids, those kids who don't do nothing or doesn't do whatever you want, then every other kids will say, okay, he's spending a lot of attention to that kid because he's not doing nothing. Okay, I'm not gonna do nothing. I'm just gonna,
Or it
fool around.
becomes in a
Okay.
chain reaction.
Yes, exactly. For me,
Oh.
if you're not repeating the game, if you're not repeating after me, you don't, you don't exist. Okay.
Yeah.
I, and then when I see the kid doing something more or less what I want, I'm like, yes, like this. That's what I want. Everybody, look how Kashishi did this movement.
That's so cool. That's
And like
really cool.
everybody, okay, I want to do like Kashishi.
Okay,
I
okay.
want to do like.
I like
So
that. I like
yes,
that. Yeah.
and yeah. And for example, just since we started after the coronavirus, we started the kids class again in end of May in China here. We still already have big groups, and we had like new kids who just joined. There was a Chinese boy and one Russian girl.
Okay.
For 2 classes, they didn't want to join. Okay, they just sit with the mom. Is the girl started to cry, but and I was not trying to force them. Okay, try,
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
They was watching the games. They were learning. They were seeing the kids having fun.
Everybody's
And on the
smiling and laughing.
exactly, and on the third class, they joined. Now they already had like 4 or 5 classes, and now they are one of the best. And that's what
That's
I
so
said. Like
cool.
mother of the girl who used to be crying first class because she doesn't want to go,
Yeah.
because she's bumpy or whatever. Now mother sent me a video that the girl doing all the
That's
stuff from the
so
class
cool.
at
That's
home
so cool.
on the couch on the bed.
Yeah, yeah. That's so cool
Yeah,
though. That is it's just like the other kids playing around, smiling and just
exactly. That's
catch
what
their
you.
attention.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And what do you think is the biggest challenge for you for kids?
Well, I'm about to start teenager group, and I'm a bit worried because I think teenagers they need more challenge. They need
Yeah,
to show more cool stuff.
yeah,
You might need to teach stuff that I cannot physically do, okay, already or still cannot do. I don't know,
yeah.
okay. I'm not like flexible like I was like I don't know 6 years ago or whatever. I don't
Same.
do backflips anymore, for example, in the Hoda because I had like injury stuff.
Y-
But then you need to teach these kids,
Yeah.
and yeah, this now I'm a bit worried, but in the end. I think no challenge now for me. Any kids class up to teenager age is kind of very easy task. Also, of course, when you start mixing these ages, okay, you have like preschool and schoolers together. It's very
Ooh.
hard job because
Okay, okay.
for the schoolers, it's going to be like what's happening is so boring.
Yeah, yeah.
If you focus on the preschool and vice versa, okay, and the preschoolers will be how to say less motivated because they cannot do something that you show to the schoolers.
Yeah, yeah.
So mixing age is usually not a good idea. You need to find a balance. You're balancing a lot. You're juggling.
Yeah,
juggling.
yeah. You have to find
Juggling.
the at least like up of your ages before the teenage, right?
Yeah. Now next step for me is going to be to teach teenagers, and I
And
already thinking what I'm gonna do. Yeah,
and
and
elderly people.
elder people, yeah, elder people. Well, at least teenager is gonna start like this Sunday, but for elder people, I still need to find the key to their heart, to see because it's really different.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's a different mentality though. It's just like crazy how like every stage your mind just changes. It's just little kid you just wanna
Exactly.
play. You don't care about the
Exactly. Yeah.
kicks, and
Yeah.
a little bit more you want to learn kicks, and now you wanna do florellos. And teenagers
Mm-hmm.
is like God,
Yeah.
it's like you just wanna do florellos and kick each other.
Exactly. And then you become older, so you need to focus on something else. Yeah, you can
Not too much cartwheels because I can break my hips.
stuff like this. Yeah. You need to
Man,
focus on strategy, philosophy. You can find
yeah.
a lot of in capoeira, as you said. Yeah, there's a big terrain. Huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Now you just gotta feed those people in the specific terrain for them to feel comfortable
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And now to start closing the episode for today,
Mm-hmm.
um, how was that transition in between teaching online and teaching in person?
Okay. So for me, actually, I don't teach a lot online. I don't do live stream or Zoom classes.
Okay.
Because well live stream sometimes my student because in China live streams are very popular. So for example,
Oh,
last Saturday I went to another city, Hangzhou, it's near Shanghai, and I give a workshop for a local group of
oh, cool.
capoeiristas. It was like 4 hours of workshop, and one of the participant, she switched on a live streaming on some Chinese platform, so and showed all 4 hour workshop online, and she said like 5,000 people watched this. I'm not sure they watched all 4 hours or just watched
Yeah,
for a couple of minutes and went, but in total it was 5,000.
that's awesome.
It's not super big number in China. It's kind of
Yeah.
okay because in China there is like 10,000 or 100,000. It's totally normal for a live stream. Yeah. But back to your question. So actually, I started to teach online, let's say,
Yeah.
by making video tutorials in
Oh,
Chinese and
cool. Okay.
English and sharing as sometimes as a homework for my students. Okay,
Okay.
saying, okay, this is what we practiced last night. Or try to review it at home by details. Okay, and also just to spread through the internet, there is a capoeira that you can also learn a basic online. So it was like a videos. It's not the real life live stream classes. Okay,
Yeah.
not like a
Yeah.
Zoom class.
Okay.
So I've been doing it before coronavirus. And when the coronavirus hit, I thought, okay, this gonna hit my business as well because the school, okay, more or less it was a vacation, holiday time. The school
Yeah.
gonna stop the program, stuff like this. So I had to refocus. So what I did, I continue my introductory level capoeira online classes,
Okay.
and also I cooperated with other teachers, one Israeli, one Brazilian, to brought their courses to China because first there is a language barrier. Not many Chinese people can speak English or understand English or
Oh,
Portuguese,
okay.
especially Portuguese. So I have to translate. And also in China, we have specific internet policy of government. Some websites in China are not accessible, like YouTube,
Oh.
Facebook. In China,
Oh,
Instagram by
wow.
default, they all blocked. You need to find a way to go around, and it's mostly only foreigners will try to find these ways.
Oh,
Chinese
wow.
people, they don't care. They have their own platforms and they're happy with that. So I can bring the person who already did a course, for example, on Capoeira Angola or on Birimbau. I translate and I bring these videos to the Chinese platforms,
That's
and
so cool.
then I work with commission. Like if the student paid the money, I send the money to the original author,
Okay.
and I keep a little fee for myself because I still
Yeah.
did some work to
Yeah,
bring.
of
It's not
course.
easy, and that's what I did during the coronavirus. And
That's
then we
really cool
started
though.
classes.
Smart.
yeah, yeah.
That's pretty
But
smart. You were the bridge in between information and China. That's so cool, man. That's
exactly
smart.
something
That's
like this,
smart.
something like this. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, but yeah, I know that currently I'm also taking some online classes from other teachers,
Okay.
and I like the fact, and so many guests in your podcast mentioned that this coronavirus situation made many old school masters and teachers to look differently on this technology,
Yes.
and so it's cool that we have a big access. One day, like in Facebook, I couldn't decide. Like Mestre Papaleg was doing his class, Mestre Suasuna, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah.
whatever. Like they all more or less the full day.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just crazy. And before that, you couldn't meet the mestres only on the workshops, only in their academy or when they traveling.
hundred
Yeah,
percent, 100%. Especially because I was talking to my friend Congo, that he's Professor Congo. I'm pretty sure you saw
hmm
the interview
yeah,
where
yeah.
we
Yes.
were talking about like, man, it's like we have every week we have a bachizado, pretty much a bachizado.
Wow.
Like,
Uh-huh.
I mean, of course, doesn't don't get me wrong, it's not no substitute of the bachizado, but you do
Yeah,
class almost every single day with people from anywhere,
yeah.
which is
Exactly.
really really
It's
cool.
crazy.
And now to wrap it up, the last question, as usual, uh, one advice for the capoeira community or for those capoeiristas listening to this right now.
Wow. One advice.
Put you on the
I talk
spot.
a lot.
Yes, okay, don't worry. You have a lot of information, so I'm pretty sure you have pretty good information there.
Okay, one advice for a practitioner or for a teacher? For a student, for a teacher?
Let's say in general.
One advice. Hmm. Okay. I have actually a lot of advices
Nice, nice.
because I always share it with my students.
Oh yeah.
But one of the first thing I try to pass to my students in certain level This is story from Mestre Obrinho, one of the first mestres in US. Obrinho, he's from Angola, Quental, I guess, the group name. He shared this story with one mestre, and that mestre shared with me. Story about that each capoeirista need to have at least 3 pillars. Okay, pillars. Pillar.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 pillars. The first, to make a very strong base, to be a good capoeirista, 3 pillars. The first pillar is academy. Like when you just started capoeira, you need to work to go into the class. You need to have a teacher. You need to listen to the teacher, trust the process. You need to have this strong foundation first with academy. So you go into the regular classes with one teacher, and you understand, you learn a lot. The second pillar is the homework. It means you have to practice by yourself as well. There is no sportsman, athlete, or great capoeirista who didn't practice at home, only going by academy 2 times a week or 3 times a week, and then become a great capoeirista. There is 100%. No such person. Exactly. So the second, maybe after a few months you've been training capoeira, you can work on the second pillar. This is homework. So this will work. And the third pillar, I think at least, this is travel. By travel means you have to also go a bit outside of academy and your own training, maybe visit another roda, another teacher, if when time allows you go to another city and country, for example, attend a workshop, to get new ideas, to get some fresh air. So this is 3 pillars the great capoeirista need to work on, and also go back and check. Maybe I didn't go to my academy for a long time. I've been training by myself. And you can see in the roda, the person who trained by himself and travels a lot, and the first pillar is like this.
Is lacking.
It's you see, like the vibe is a bit different. The guy is everything, but not like in there. Same, if you're just stuck in your academy, you don't go out and you don't train by yourself, it's also not good. So you need to see these 3 pillars. Are they aligned? Maybe you work a lot at home, but you don't go academy, or maybe you travel a lot and you don't do any, some people just go to events, never train.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So you need to check. This is my advice. Check 3 pillars.
That's so cool. That I really, I never thought about it, because, that's the reason I created the podcast, because I want to connect with people like yourself, like there's so many, is like, for example, when you started teaching, how many questions you had in your head, it's like, okay,
it's crazy.
How where do I start? How do I get from where I am, where I want to get? And before, when before I had the podcast, I was like, wait a minute, there's so many capoeiristas, so many capoeiristas out there that they have so many good information that can help not just me, a bunch of people out there that probably have the same question I do, and be like, well, let's bring those capoeiristas, share the information, and we just open the hot up for everybody. And it's just like, and I really, really appreciate all the information you share here, because is
pleasure.
And I admire people that pursue what they want to do, and if out there somebody's listening and you want to teach, even if it's outside of capoeira, there's something else you want to do, just go for it. It's no reason for hold yourself back, but you got to find a way how to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for sharing your.
My pleasure.
Your experience.
Thanks for inviting me for the podcast.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. I'm happy to getting to know you. Hopefully, I get to go to China one day. We can play capoeira.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
As always, this is your home too. In just anytime.
Thanks, man. Really big pleasure, and hope everybody liked the podcast. Please share the knowledge.
Yes, and like keep positive, stay positive. Go visit all the rodas. Work on those 3 pillars. I like. That's going to be the title of this.
3 pillars of capoeira.
Yes.
Of good capoeira.
Nice. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. My goal with this podcast is to inspire you to push your trainings and to help you to understand how awesome capoeira is for us. Help me to spread the positivity by sharing this episode with one friend, two friends, or anyone, so we can inspire more and more and more and more people. Thank you so much again. Don't forget to subscribe. I will see you in the next Hoda. Keep the greatness. Ashe.